Okay, by the way, I did look up the pattern just to make sure, and I was right. So we did do this correctly in the previous video. And I didn't say, welcome back to the Take-Home Assignment 2 video series. Like I just said, we were working on 13B. We finished the spreadsheet model, which we still have, of course, to do the solver model. Now, if you look at the problem description for 13B, you will see that it tells you to solve the linear relaxation. Now, what is a linear relaxation? A linear relaxation is, of course, the same thing as the model as it stands, as it's described, except that you don't require integer values. So, of course, can you hire a half of an employee? No. You can employ a full-time employee or a part-time employee, but you cannot employ half of a full-time employee. So, we must make this problem restricted to integer values. However, 13b, the instructions explicitly tell us to ignore that fact for the time being and solve it without the integer constraints. So let's open up Solver and we'll ask ourselves, what's our objective? Well, our objective is to minimize our total cost. So we choose minimum, select our total cost. We do that by changing our employment schedule, and we have to make sure we meet demand. Now, conceptually, I do need to have these integers, but because we're solving the linear relaxation, we ignore this for now. I'm just going to go ahead and solve the model. And so what I get is 6 part-time employees starting at 9, 2 part-time employees starting at 10, 6 starting at 12, 1 starting at 1, and 6 starting at 3. So you'll notice we did not choose to hire any full-time employees. Now you might also notice these are not rounded values. And I'll just prove it here. I was right the first time. Those are not rounded values. Those are, in fact, integers. But Rob, you told me not to select integer constraints. I didn't. This happened by itself. So, it's a very interesting problem, very interesting property of some problems like this, where they afford themselves optimal solutions as integers, even when you solve them as if there is no integer restrictions, which is quite nice. It allows you to solve as a linear program, which is much, much quicker for large problems. So just to prove that we're right, I'm going to do the trick I've been doing for a while. Copy the name of the tab, delete the tab, move or copy 13, and change the name to 13C. We'll go in, we will add our integer constraint for our 2 chunks of decision variables and rerun. But of course, it won't change our answer. And so, on your homework, hopefully you actually wrote this out, but I'm just going to say it for the sake of time, is really all we need to know here is that because we got an integer solution for part B, we know that adding those constraints for part C is actually unnecessary because it got the answer without it. So, we can just solve these types of problems, this particular type of problem, as a linear relaxation and look at an integer solution. Of course, if you ever do something you think it's going to work out that way and it doesn't, just go in, add your integer constraints, and all will be well. Okay, I think that does it. Thank you if you made it this far, or if you just started at the end, whatever. Thank you for watching my videos on the Take-Home Assignment 2. I hope they were very helpful, and good luck on your final.